Very strange. But anyway, I think we can get started now. Okay, so I'm going to work on the Twitch interactive card game again today, and this game is kind of like the card game Memory, or, well, that's what I always called it, but I think it's more generally called Concentration. And, oh, I can't actually show right now because the game isn't in a state to show it, but basically you place a bunch of cards out onto a grid, and then the players, or somebody would choose 2 cards to reveal to try to find any paired cards, and then if you find a pair, you get a point. If it wasn't a pair, then the cards would go back face down on the board and the next person would go. So you kind of had to remember where all the cards were placed. So, oh yeah, last time, so I was trying to work on trying to actually integrate into Twitch, and we were having some issues, mostly because it turned out to be quite a bit more difficult to see if a stream was online than I was really expecting. But over the weekend, I've done a little work to kind of try to get things started. And I remember last time this system was kind of messy because I was just trying to test out the functionality really quick, so I cleaned it up. Now it waits for a specific command to be inserted into the entity system, and then whenever it sees this command, then it would this update would be called, and then it just sends a request over the Twitch API to see if any streams that match this user ID are live. And the user ID for now is just hard coded to be my channel, but obviously in the final version we'd want to make this editable. Okay, and then after that, it looks through every event, and it adds on this timeout timer component, and that means that I haven't written this system yet, but another system will look at these timeouts, and whenever the time period is passed, then it would remove this component, and so then the system would see this request as being a new again, and would just resend it. But anyway, once we get the response from Twitch, then this Twitch API would call this get stream info function. And then you can tell if a stream is online basically if there's a stream with this specific user ID that is returned. And then to make sure it's not a rerun or something, we can make sure that it's a live type. And so we take that information and plug it into another component or another entity, which will be of the message type, which means it just lasts for 1 frame. So anything that wants to rely on this will just see that information on that frame and be able to do work on it. Okay, so in order to test this, when the game first starts up, we basically want to create this request. And I can't remember. So I kind of had this, like, there's a phase. Oops. Not sure what I just clicked on. I think I set the text color. Oh, highlight. Okay, I don't know. But there's like a connection phase that we look to see if the stream is connected, and if it's not, then we try to like reconnect and things like that. Can't remember if I started that already. So this no game. Deletes incoming guesses. Then initial load. Well, let me just see what the structure of the game state is so far, because again, I haven't worked on this for a while because I've kind of been out of commission. But okay, so I can see here that we're just on the phase no game. It doesn't look like there's any phase for connecting or reconnecting. I thought I had kind of set that up, but oh yeah, so the user database. Okay. Yeah, because basically we only need to be active on the stream in order, or we only need to make sure the stream is alive to see if what users are watching. So yeah, what we would do, yeah, and if we ever lose connection to the stream, then that means we have to like rebuild all the lists instead of just watching events. So it looks like I haven't set this up at all yet. Okay. Basically on the initial load setup, should also add the component. Will this mess things up, I wonder? Let's see. So what starts up the game? I think it's just that board mono behavior, which is... yeah, so we just have the phase initial load. I guess at the same time... well, after the... I was going to say we can just go ahead and enter into the user database, wait for stream active at this point, but actually we'd probably want to do it after the initial load, so... so, where is it? Dummy initial load watcher. Okay, so yeah, this just waits one frame and then transitions to the no game. I guess at this same position, or yeah, same time, we'll go ahead and start the initial load setup. So we'll add a component, user database. Yeah, so we're gonna wait until the stream is active. Alright, and this command singleton entity is just an entity that I have designated to hold all of these like state components. Okay, so now when I play, this phase will be active, so I need to have a setup for that. Right, so user database, wait for stream active setup. Okay, and I can kind of just copy some of this to... yeah, this shouldn't be in simulation. This should be in the phase setup system group. Kind of glad I saw that. And then the user database, wait for stream active setup. Okay, so all this does is it's going to add the command to try and get a request from Twitch. So first we'll want to... I guess we'll need to get an entity archetype. Oops. So request archetype. Okay, and then we're going to have to override on create. So the request archetype is just going to be manager get archetype, or no, it's create archetype. And we want it to have the... let me just grab the component from here. Okay, So yeah, we just need this component. And then we tell the buffer to create that entity of that, or create an entity of this type. And I guess that's all I have to do. There's no data on that component. Its existence is all we need. And then the setup system should be user, database, or is it phase at first? Oh, I'm not using the components, so that's why it's not showing up for me. Okay. This song is long. Anyway, okay, so I think that's going to be good enough to test. So now, we should get a response from Twitch saying that my stream is online if I've done everything correctly. Okay, yeah, so we got it already. Stream info, type live. Okay, so now all I need to do is hook that into the rest of the game so that it knows that the stream is live. Now, I remember last time I was a little, I guess not really confused, but there's another system that you could use, supposedly, to tell if a stream is online, using the Twitch pub sub. But the problem was, when I tested it earlier, on a separate channel just to see if it worked, I couldn't get these messages to display, so as far as I know, this on-stream up and on-stream down doesn't work. I don't know if it's Twitch lib or if it's Twitch itself, because these actually aren't like documented, so I wouldn't be surprised if Twitch just decided not to support those anymore. I don't know, but regardless, we can't use PubSub, so I've just kind of disabled it for now. I know I talked about that last stream, so I wanted to go ahead and mention it. So actually, now there's no way we can really tell if we lose connection to Twitch. So, I mean, that's okay. Obviously, we're going to have to deal with that. Let me, handling. So yeah, we'll need to, yeah, I guess bot disconnection and then handle, I guess, internet disconnection. We'll need to rebuild the user database because we could miss out on events. Yeah, so that's just something for me to keep track of later. Okay. But yeah, another reason I brought that up is because like if that pub sub works later, I kind of want to make this like generic so that something will listen for this event, the web request stream online stream online state response, and then based on if this is true or not, it can tell us if the stream is online, and that way if I ever do get the pub sub working, it can like combine the input from these two systems to give us a more accurate result. But that's all to say, I need to have a system here. So this will be like that's ending for that song was very abrupt. But this will be, I guess, okay, I already have the stream online status watcher, but so I'm trying to think of what to call this. Well, this really isn't like the status watcher. I should rename this class because it just does the sees if a stream is online. It doesn't actually watch it. So stream online request handler. I didn't rename this, so let me do that. And then I'll make another class which will be the actual... Oh. Stream online status watcher. And so this will just watch for different events. Okay, so first I need an entity query for this event I just got. And I guess for now the system can really only work when that event exists. But later on, if I do add support for PubSub, I'd want to update if either event existed, but we'll let's not get ahead of ourselves, I guess. Okay, so I need to just... Oh yeah, and I need to do this timeout thing real quick. But let's finish this train of thought. This will be the request query r. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, and really we just want one of those. Or we only care if it has this type. We don't have to be any more specific than that. I think I might rename this. Because I don't really like this namespace being Twitch memory and then having Twitch again. I might rename this to like Twitch integration or something, but anyway, and then I can require that one for update. Okay, so now this will only update when there is an entity that has this component on it. So I guess I need to get data out of it. Which we can do by doing 2-component data array. Alright, and this can just be temp job. Alright, and then when we're done with this, we need to dispose of it, so we'll go ahead and do that there so I won't forget. Let's see. I'm just gonna go ahead and support multiple responses, but if any of... Well, actually, we'd only care about what like the most recent one is, but the thing is, also these requests aren't... Yeah, they're not ordered. If I wanted to be really picky about it, well, not picky, but like really, what's the word, like, I guess thorough, I would need to add like a response time on this and then get the most recent one. Maybe I will just go ahead and do that. Oh yeah, I wanted this response, so I do public float timestamp. Alright, so let's just have another function for this. So private bool is, or let's say process events. And then we'll have a native array of type that. And so float most recent time, and then we'll have boolean most recent value. And then we need to loop through each of these. And then if responses I.timestamp is greater than the most recent time. Then we'd want to replace the most recent value with the value in this event. And then we'll just return it. Okay, so again, this is kind of overkill because we never really should have more than one event. And even if we do, they probably will have the same value, but I just kind of wanted to be thorough so we'll already have this code ready when it does actually matter. So is online equals process events. Okay, so now I need to actually insert something on here to tell the game that it is online now. Which, do I already have a component for that? I'm not sure. Oh yeah, I do have the stream online component. Okay, so entity query. Oh no, I don't really have to do an entity query because this will just be on the singleton. So was online equals. Can I like tell if an entity has a component on it? Manager has. Yeah, has component. So I want to see if stream online on the command singleton entity. Yeah, and I think this is a little slow, but I'm only going to do it because this is only going to be updated very sparingly, only when we get a response, which will only happen when we actually send a request. So not very often, so I don't really mind this being kind of slow. It might not be too slow anyway. I don't really know how slow this has component function is, so I don't use it very often. But anyway, so if is online and was online equals false, then we need to add a component to the command singleton entity. And I want to do that in a command buffer. So entity command buffer system. Kind of wish there was an easier way you could set up a buffer system. I wonder, because I do this a lot and it's kind of it's not super difficult, but I mean it's not difficult at all, but it's a little verbose to have to set all this or type all this out. So we want begin initialization command buffer system. Because what we have to do, we have to have this line and then this one, and then we have to create the command buffer. I guess it's not horrible, but it would be nice if there was a simpler way. Probably I'd have to do something like a super class. So, I don't know, maybe I'll look into that. But anyway, so if they're different, then we know we're going to have to switch around some components. So we'll create the buffer. Alright, so here we're going to need to add the stream online component. And then afterwards we'll need to, or otherwise we'll have to delete the stream online component. I guess I could actually simplify this logic here, because here we check to see if they're different. So if is online is true, that implies that was online is false, so I can just delete that. Okay. So I think this is all done. Can go ahead and test it. So once that happens, we would want to advance the the user database phase. Alright, so let's see if Stream Online is there. Oh no. Okay, so this does exist, which means it did run at least once. Wonder why that didn't get updated correctly. Also, oh, something weird maybe happened, because also I noticed that the delete incoming guesses wasn't true, or wasn't on the phase component, which is kind of weird. That should have been there. This no game setup should have added that. I'm gonna play once again just to see what's going on. Maybe I missed something. Alright, all entities, so Flow Singleton has phase no game and then phase wait stream active. Let me see here. Alright, so this did wait for stream active, did run. It seems like the game, like this no game setup didn't run because this wasn't added. Oh, is there an error and I'm just not seeing it? No. Okay, I'm gonna print something here just to make sure. Debug log setup no game phase. And let's have some, let's print some stuff here too. So online check event scene, and then here say online, oh, online check, okay, is online, and then this other one will be offline. Alright, so let's see if the code even gets to this point, because maybe I've messed something up. I don't really... Yeah, I was trying to think if I saw a code there that was wrong, but I don't really... Okay, so the online check event was seen, but then it didn't do anything else, which is a little strange. Okay, so was online would be, it has this component, and then is online. Let's go ahead and also print out the responses of those two different functions. Okay, so event said that is online, and then phase let's rename that to state. So that's the event, and then the state. I mean, obviously they've got to be equal, so I'm guessing that they both are going to be false. So maybe something is wrong in the code that checks to see if the stream is online, which could be true. Yeah, the event said I'm not online, which is false because right here it says I am. Okay, so yeah, something is wrong in this function. Which actually makes sense. I didn't test it yet all the way. So I'm checking to see if the type is not null and empty, or null or empty. And also that when I convert it to lower invariant, it equals live, which seems like it should be true. So is live equals... And then I guess I'll just print out imputed is live. And let's see what that... I mean, obviously is... Well, I guess not, but I was going to say obviously is live is false, but the bug could lie somewhere else. Oh yeah, so computed true, but the event is false. Okay, so the bug... So it returns true here. And then that's just passed there, so... I guess the bug... Well, it could be... I mean, I doubt it's right here, but let's make sure. Oh, what happened? Bug log is online. And then I'll also go ahead here. The other place it could be wrong is right here. Oh, you know what? That's a bug. It's this timestamp thing, because the timestamp is always 0. Okay, so now I feel kind of stupid. Because yeah, I created that and then I forgot to add this here, which I feel like is probably also going to happen later on, but that's okay. Oh yeah, and I'm used to Unity never using doubles, but they actually changed to use doubles on timers, which is probably a good idea, but... Right, so now I'm 99% sure that that is the bug, so I'm gonna just delete that debug line. That's okay. Debugging is just part of it. Part of game development. Okay, so now it says we're online, but obviously nothing watches that. I guess I'm still kind of curious why this doesn't have the delete incoming guesses, because now if I make a guess, I think a guess is going to be created. Oh, maybe not? Huh. That's interesting. I don't know what's going on there. I was going to see if I saw any of the chat systems running, but I don't. Maybe they're smart enough to only wait until later, but I don't know why that would be. But setup no game phase, that doesn't run, does it? No, so obviously this code isn't running for some reason, and I don't really know why. Because the phase no game was active. Oh, it's because this is in the simulation system group. So phase setup system group. Yeah, okay. It was just because it was running at the wrong time. Yeah, so now the delete incoming guesses is active. Okay, so next up, when the stream is active, we need to switch the user database phase to the next part, which is yeah, so we want to wait for the request. So what would happen is we'd send out a bunch of requests to Twitch for different information, like a list of followers and viewers and all that, set all that up, and then when we get back the initial lists, we would go into this watch events phase. But I think for now, I'm just going to create some dummies so that we can actually get back to being able to play the game, kind of. Alright, so let's see. This will be the wait stream active transitioner. I think that's it, but yeah, it's not showing up because I need to get the right namespace. Gotta compile some. Let's clean that up, and then okay, so I just make a component system. Oh yeah, I have a separate thing for a timer, but this is just gonna wait until it sees the stream online. Yeah, I guess we still need that buffer system. Webcam's looking... I noticed when I was preparing for a stream that it seems like the my screen is like casting more light today than usual. I'm not really sure why. I haven't changed anything, but I haven't noticed that my webcam is so sensitive to it, so I might have to fiddle with some settings later. Sorry about that. Oh yes, yeah, entity command buffer system. Okay, and then no, we don't need to wait for that. So really, we just need to wait until the stream is online, and then we need to make sure that we're in the right phase. So that's phase user database. Wait stream active. Okay, and then once this is both true, really we just create the buffer and then we transition phases. So we switch from the user database wait stream active, and then we switch to what's the next one? Yeah, so we wait requests. So this would also send out a bunch of requests, but we're not really gonna worry about that yet. And then I guess actually the setup would be where all the requests are sent out, but and then this next phase or this next system will basically be the same thing, except just on the next frame it will transition to the next phase because we're not waiting for anything yet. So wait user responses transitioner. Okay, so it's going to be kind of the same type of thing. So copy this code. Not that it really matters too much, but Okay, so now we don't have to wait for stream online. We just need to wait until this component exists, and then we'll switch to user database phase watch events. Okay, once this happens, then the game is also ready to run. So we'll want to have the UI update to that. So do I have any managers for that UI yet? I don't think I might have created one. Yeah, the no game panel manager, but oh, so I did have the system right here. So yeah, it's gonna query for the stream online, but I think it should actually wait until we get the initial list from Twitch. Yeah, so what it actually needs to do is wait until this event, or in this event phase. Which, I guess I don't really need a query because it's just going to be a singleton. Alright, so I'm trying to think. Since this is the UI, I don't know if I need to be super... let's do a test and see how much this slows this down. I think it actually would be easiest if we can do something like entity manager as component, and then we'll just use the singleton. So we're well, not really. Well, we're online and then all set up if we're in this phase. And then we would call the set online status. So I need to get a reference to the panel manager. Find object of type, which I can just use this class or this function from Unity, which will just look through the current scene to find an object of this type. Alright, and then we can just call set online status to is online now. And usually it's not a good idea to have a state like this in a system, but I think it will be okay since this is just basically a UI class, and UI classes don't have to be as I guess rigorously designed is a way to say it, because they just kind of work on top of the game and nothing really depends on them. Okay, so yeah, we can see that the start game button did light up, and now we're in the watch events. Okay, and so now we would press this button and we would want to move on to the next scene. Or not scene, we'd want to move on to actually starting up the game. Alright, so let me see. On click equals handle button click. Alright, so this function will be called whenever... Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Generate... Oh, it's not gonna... Oh yeah, that's not how Unity events work. Don't you have to just... Yeah, it's add listener. Alright, now we can generate the method. Alright, so when this happens, we'd want to insert an entity into the system, which basically is just an event that tells the game that this button has been clicked. So I want to get a reference to the buffer system. Alright, and then that is pretty easy to get even though this isn't a component. I can just get the default game injection world. And this game only has one entity world, so it will work fine. So get existing system, begin initialization, entity command buffer system. Alright, and so now when we click, we'll just tell the buffer system to create a new buffer for us, just like normal. And I guess I also need an entity archetype. So this is button, press, event, archetype. So world, entity manager, create archetype. And we need it to have, well, I guess we'll have to create a new component. What do I want to call this? Let's have, I'll make a new folder for like input, or not folder, it should be a class for input events, which will also include button presses from the UI. Okay, so this will be the no game panel start game button clicked. Kind of a long name, but that's okay. Okay, so we want that, and then we also want this to only live for one frame, so I'm gonna go ahead and add the message type to it. That way it will be automatically deleted at the end of the frame. Alright, so now we can get an entity by just telling the buffer to create an entity of this archetype. And I guess that's all I have to do. I don't have to change any more data on it. I could even make this even simpler and just do this on the update of the manager instead of creating a separate system for it. I think I will just do that. So, private pool was online. Or I guess I called it last online. And then just set online status. And now the entity manager is just the default game injection world. Alright, so now I don't even need this system. Okay, I think this looks good. So now when we press the button, this an event with this component will be added to the system. So now to switch from the no game phase to the setup board phase, I think it is, I just need to create another transitioner which will watch for that button press. Yeah, so, okay, phase create board. Is this, I know I already have like the setup for it, but, so create board complete watcher. Is that right? This assumes that the randomization has already happened. Oh yeah, so we don't actually create board, we have that other phase before that where we figure out the rules of the game and everything. Sorry, my cord is on my microphone. Or headphone. Or wait, my chair is on my headphone cord. So 1 second. There we go, that's better. Okay, so not the create board phase, it's okay, I guess I haven't created it yet already. Or I haven't created the phase already. Oh, I have this pregame start. Okay, that is... Oh yeah, that's like a timer before the game starts. What happens then? I guess nothing, it's just... So really... Do I need this phase anymore? This create board phase? Because, like, basically we'll just create the board when we're done, like, initializing the game. So this create board setup. So add the delete incoming guesses, and then tile pair. Okay, so this happens during the create board phase. But I guess this could just happen on the pre-game setup, so I'm not really sure. I'm sorry, I think I'm about to sneeze. Gosh. Sorry about that. Okay, so yeah, I had this issue with a couple, like, basically phases that are just for, like, game logic. I don't really know if I need specific phases for that, because I had, like, one that was a cleanup phase, and all I did was just tack that with commands onto the end of the next, of a different phase. So let's... Okay, did I... thought I, So in the pregame start phase, yeah, we pick images, download images, and create the card meshes. Yeah, so that's like after... Yeah, so we have a couple different phases here. We have the one where users can, like, spend their points to set up the rules of the game, and then once that's been decided, we need to download images and create the board. And then once that's started, there'll just be like a short timer before guesses start. Okay, so I think I might be a little destructive with my editing here, because I'm going to restructure a couple of these phases. And by destructive, I'm just going to delete these phases instead of renaming them to make sure that it all works right. So, okay, we go from no game to phase pre-game lobby, and this is just where the users can spend points. And then we'll have, I guess this phase create board, I mean, okay, I guess I really don't have to change it, because all we do is we have this lobby before, and then on the create board we're downloading images, and then pregame start is just a timer when the game is ready before we start accepting guesses. So I guess this is fine. I guess, well, I guess pregame lobby is fine, but it's just This is a little confusing. Let's call this just the phase start, or I don't know, game start countdown, because that's really all it's going to be. And then instead of create board, I'll just call it phase setup game. Right, okay. Okay, I think that's fine. So some of these systems might be named a little bit weirdly now, but okay, so basically once this button is pressed, we want to go to the setup game phase, and that'll just have a timer where users can spend their points to do things, and then we'll have the Pregame lobbies when they do that, and then we'll have the current phase setup game, which basically is where the system is going to create the board and then download all images and all that. And then we'll have a final countdown once everything's done, and then we'll start the actual game. So this phase that ends the game, it should actually go to the pregame lobby. So I'll go ahead and add that. Okay, so let's make another transitioner here, and this will transition. I guess it's the start game button watcher. Oh, actually it's the start lobby button watcher, because there might be another button for the user or the streamer to press to actually start the game. Okay, it did update. Sometimes when you change it here, it doesn't change the file name, so that's what I was looking at. So this should be the phase transition. Oh yeah, it's not going to show up because it's in the wrong namespace by default. System group. So really what we want to do here is, I'm actually going to copy this so that I don't have to type out all that buffer system stuff again. Right, so we'll want to wait until we're at... Alright, so yeah, the no game, and then we want to wait until we have that event. So I shouldn't just assume it's a singleton, because there could be multiple button presses on a frame. It'd be kind of strange, but it's not for sure a singleton component. Get entity query, and we'll want to get a type of that long component name that I created a second ago. Alright. Okay, and then we want to only... Oh yeah, this is, I think is... Yeah, so I'm already using the component namespace, so I must have forgotten to... Yeah, I did forget to change the name of the namespace there. Okay. And then we want to require that query have something in it before we update. Okay. But we don't really care about anything more about this, any of the entities in here, except that they exist. So once they exist, we know we can switch from the no game phase to the lobby phase. Okay, and then I guess at this point Depends on how I want to implement it. Do I want to have a button or just a timer? Or I think for now I might even just have something that just waits. Oh, we probably just... I think for now I'll just have a timer actually. So... this will be the pre-game lobby setup system. And I can copy really any of these. Let's copy one that creates a timer. So pre-game setup, yeah, creates a timer. That way I can save myself some typing. Alright, go ahead and fix that up. And this is the pre-game lobby setup system. Alright, and so this setup system just runs the very frame that this phase is created. Alright, so I guess I'll need another timer here. Alright, so this will be... I'll just call it the lobby timer, that's fine. I'll just keep it a second for now. And yeah, we want to keep deleting incoming guesses. Okay, so now I'll make another system that will just wait until that timer is completed. So lobby timer watcher. And I have a bunch of timer watchers, so I can just copy any of them. This one's the simplest, so... I need to change this to the lobby timer watcher. Okay, so all we do is transition from the phase pre-game lobby to phase setup game. And I think with that, we're finally able to play the game again. Alright. So, create port complete. It looks like it. Let's try it out and see. Oh, it looks like I have an error. Oh, it's yeah, here when I hadn't changed the namespace all the way. It's giving me that error because it still has the old assets namespace, which I definitely don't want to keep. Okay. Oh yeah, so this is an annoying thing that's popped up in Unity. If you have these private serialized fields in a mono behavior, Unity will complain that they're always going to have their default value, which isn't actually true because Unity assigns them when the game starts. But that warning will still show up in your debug log. To get rid of it, you just have to give them some assigned value like that, and then these warnings will go away. Older versions used to not do that. I don't know what happened to make Unity show those warnings, but at least it's easily fixed. Anyway, let's go ahead and run the game again, and I'm hoping that when I press start game... Okay, something didn't go. So we're at... How strange. So this says we're at phase accepting guesses, phase delete incoming guesses, which is fine. Also, we're at the pregame lobby. So the pregame lobby didn't get removed. So I must have messed something up. Alright, so the start lobby button watcher. And then the lobby timer watcher. Oh, it does transition. Let's see, what about the... Pregame lobby setup system? Oh. Yeah, this should have said lobby timer, but... I'm just wondering why it still got to the phase accepting guesses phase when there was... Yeah, they got to the accepting guesses phase when there was that bug. Okay, so this pre-start game setup. Okay, I think that's the reason, because it was like loading the lobby twice or something? I don't know. I accidentally deleted or changed the pre-start game setup when I should have been editing the lobby setup. Oh, what's it called? Like pre-game timer, I think. The time this one is still correct. Alright, so let's try it one more time. Yeah. Yeah, I'm still a little confused about how that specific I guess combination of components got onto that entity. But yeah, we'll watch this and see. And now we're in the lobby. Okay, so that worked. Now why were they blue for a while? Well, I guess I don't really care that much, because in the final game we're not going to be using these cubes, so I don't really mind if some of the stuff is weird about them. Let's see if it will let me make a guess. So guess A1, A2. Okay, it does, but that doesn't work. Alright, let's go ahead and just go through this one time. So I've got to type all this out again. I really should, I was thinking an even easier way to make this easier to test, besides having to create some automated system to make guesses, is if I just made the board size smaller. So if I did a 4 or 2x2 board, then it'd be a lot simpler to do this. So, but I think some of this code is hard coded. I think just the pair, the thing that assigns pairs. So I'd have to go edit that, but obviously probably wouldn't be that difficult. Alright, so complete the game, it is deleted, and then it makes a new one. Alright, so everything still looks good. Let's just see if it will take a guess. And it does. Alright. I'm gonna make a bad guess here. Okay, so everything is still working fine, which is good. Alright, so obviously we need to hide this system now, or this panel. And basically, once the button is pressed, we could just hide it when the button's pressed, but that's probably not a good idea. What we actually want to do is see when we've entered into the next phase here. So bool in phase. So this only needs to be visible when we're in the sorry, my mind just went blank. When we're in the phase, yeah, the no game phase. So, and no game phase is true when this is set to phase no game. Alright, so if in no game phase does not equal in phase... Okay, I don't like the name of that, so this would be last in phase. So I don't want to just set this whole thing as inactive. Actually, yeah, so I need to have another serialized field here for like the UI parent. Or it can just be a game object. Which I might need to restructure the way Unity is set up. UI parent set active equals in. So we just want to invert the in no game phase because... Oh wait, no, that's not true. We only want this to be active when we're in the no game phase, so... Or visible. Okay. That updates that, and then I guess the UI panel should start off. Should start inactive, I should say. Alright, so I have a feeling that this panel manager is actually the UI panel's parent, which is not what I want. Yeah, so I need to have another panel in between here. So I think I'm just gonna copy this component and let's make another empty object. Let's call this like UI managers or something. Okay, and then I can add this the UI parent, and then on here I can remove this. Okay, because we need to be able to turn this off while still having the UI manager running, so they have to be separate. Okay, so let's go ahead and test that out. Okay, yeah, that worked, and that time they didn't start out as that neon blue either. So I don't know what was different, but okay. So yeah, we finally got the game loop to work again. Alright, so now what I need to do is probably... Yeah, this all started because we wanted to try and get a list of users and then start like trying to actually get the game to look a little better. Specifically, I want to download user icons and put them on the cards. Alright, so in order to do that, we need to get a list of users, and I think the easiest list to get is a list of followers, so I think we'll start there. Okay, so now what we'll need to do is this, so this user responses transitioner right now just updates immediately, but now it will need to wait until we've received an event that we've downloaded followers. So I guess first we might as well do the script that will call the Twitch API to get a list of followers. So let's see, follower list request handler. And we can kind of use this system as a base. In fact, I was wondering, should I make... Okay, so actually, before I do that, I should handle the class that does this timeout. And then I think I need to refactor this class. And because a lot of this code is going to be used by basically all these API handlers. And so I think it'll be well worth my time to make a superclass for that. But before... well, maybe I'll do the superclass first since I'm looking at it. So this will be API request handler. Right, and this won't be in a system group because it wouldn't ever actually be created because Unity doesn't automatically create systems with a generic type. But so this will be the I guess the request component. And then do I want to have a response component? I don't know if I can make this generic. Well, actually, because for every request we'd have one event. Well, I'll see. I guess if I see that I have some handler that needs to have special, needs to have a special handling for its output event, then I can deal with that when the time comes. Alright, so also I need to make sure that where the request component is an iComponent data and also a structure. Oh. Okay, I see I've just been disconnected from Twitch. Okay, so hopefully I'm reconnecting now. Sorry about that. I guess I'll just keep typing this out. So response component also needs to be a structure and an iComponent data. Okay, I think I'm live again. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it seems to have leveled out. Yeah, so basically I just am going to create this API request handler. It's going to be a component system, and then I just needed to make sure that these generic types were structures and an iComponent data. So now that we've got that all handled, I think I can just grab all this code and we'll cut out... Did do that already? And we'll cut out the stuff we can't use. Alright. So yeah, we'll have the API and then we'll have a new request. We'll have the response archetype. The buffer system. Okay, we won't want this because that's specific to checking if we're online. Okay, so this on update, we'll basically want to have like protected abstract send request, and I guess we want to send I think we'll just send the query because some of these don't actually need the because I don't want to go ahead and like pull the data out of the query because some of them might not actually need it yet. And then this can just be a void. But yeah, since I marked that as abstract, I need to mark this as abstract. Yeah, good. Looks like my bitrite's good now, so yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes it just dips I don't really know why. My internet's not the best, but seems to be okay right now, so that's good. Alright, so we handled that, and then this is actually just adding on this timeout timer onto every entity in the new request query. Okay, so this get stream info. Oh, that's the handler, yeah, so that doesn't go in this class. And then neither does this part. Although I think I'll have a protected, so it would actually be here. Protected function. So protected send or protected void send event, and basically it'll just handle. So we would just pass this response component to this class, and then it would handle turning it into an event and sending it, so that way we don't have to deal with the buffer queries and all that. And also we'd want to have this, so every class, yeah, so whenever they get a response, they should definitely call this function. Handle response. Okay, so yeah, I just need to remember to do that. Okay, so now this class can be changed to be an API request handler for the request stream online state, and then it returns this response. Right, and so it's going to complain that I don't implement the abstract class. Right. So it gives me the query, but I don't actually need it. I just do that, and I don't need the update function at all. And then, so we have the response here, and really all I have to do is call handle response on the base, and then we would pass up. Oh, I wish I could have it automatically set that timestamp, but I don't think there's any way I can do that really. Okay, so yeah, and then I don't think I need to have that, and then I can get rid of all of, well no, okay, so what I should have this do is this should also just return or pass me the API class. That way I don't have to keep a reference to it. Alright, so now I can get rid of all those variables. Okay, that did help a little bit of code. Unfortunately, it's a little, I don't know, not the cleanest, because we have to remember to call this ourselves. And I don't know, something feels weird about having to do this in the subclass, but it's better than it was before. So now this follower list request handler, I can copy this class. And oops. Okay, so I need to create the two structures for this. So we'll have request follower list. And then public struct follower list response. Okay, well this will be kind of interesting because I don't really want this API request handler to handle like all the data and entering it into the user database. So, but I can't store that in a component. So I'll probably need to store that in some other class, but we'll figure that out. I'm going to close this before I end up accidentally editing it. So that, and then follower list response. Okay. Also, follower list response should at least have it. Well, actually, no, it doesn't even need a timestamp because it doesn't have any data. Okay, so we'll leave it like this for now. It doesn't actually do anything. So get, or let's see, handle, I'll just call this handle follower list response. Alright, so I hope this, okay, this is API users, and then get users followers, I think. I don't know. Okay, so this is interesting. It can't get them all at once. Okay, so we're gonna have to... Okay, I kind of like this class to just get the entire list, so I'm gonna have to figure out how it keeps track of that. Okay. Let's just leave it like that for now. Okay. Well, actually, I guess we could send it the user ID. Get users followers. But what? I guess what user is it getting the followers of is what I'm confused about. Okay, well, we'll worry about that in a second. First off, I'm gonna make the timeout class because I keep forgetting to do it. This will be time out watcher, and so what this will do is just look at any class that has a timeout, and if it does, it will remove that timeout and so that it will be resent on the next frame. Yeah, I just thought of something, an annoying interaction that can happen. Oh, maybe it would be fine. There's something that can happen if you delete an entity like earlier in a command buffer, and then later on in the command buffer you try to remove components from it, you'll get an error. But I guess I just have to make sure this timeout watcher runs before all the other classes. That would delete these requests. Which means maybe... This can just go in the initialization system group then. That's okay, I think. Alright, so I need an entity query, which will have the timer query. Okay. So timer query. We'll get entity query, and then we just want anything that has a type of. Let's do this right. So read only. That has that request timeout timer. And then I guess we will require for update because there's no reason to run if none of these exist. And actually, I'll make this a job component system. So change this to job handle. And let's make the structure. So worker is an I job for each with entity. Oh, looks like my internet is not being good again. Sorry about that. It seems to get worse the closer I get to ending time, which is kind of annoying. Wonder... Probably just because lots of people are getting home, because it's about 5:45 my time right now. Alright, so yeah, the timer... What will we need here? I guess we really just need an entity command buffer. Command buffer, and it needs to be concurrent because these can run parallel. So this will be the buffer, and then I need to have the current time, private float, current time. By the way, I can't remember now. Okay, I couldn't remember because some games I create a separate object that keeps track of the time, and sometimes games I just use Unity's time. And the advantage to having your own object is that when the game pauses, you can have the timer not update. But I think this game won't really pause, so I was just making sure that I hadn't done that already. Anyway, so if current time is greater than or equal to timer.start time plus this timer period, then I'd want to remove this web request timeout component from the entity. Oh yeah, and I need to pass the index. And you need to do that because when you have a concurrent buffer, Unity wants to try to make sure that multi-threaded systems always run consistently, no matter what order they update in. So they pass you this index, and then Unity sorts every request in the buffer by the index and runs them in that order. So that way, you don't have like weird bugs that only happen if a certain command happens before another one or something. Yeah, my bitrate is still pretty bad. If it doesn't get better, I might just have to end the stream, but I'll just keep going on. I do apologize, but everything will be up on YouTube if you're really curious about what's going on. I don't know how viewable it is on Twitch at the moment. Anyway, okay, so that's all we need there for the system. So this will be pretty simple. Yeah, so we just need to get the buffer. So dependencies equals new worker. And we'll pass the buffer. Okay, and so for that I need to have the buffer system. Okay, and since this runs on the initialization system and all the request handlers are going to be on the simulation system group, I can use the begin simulation system group to do this. That will speed things up a little bit. Also, I should probably make sure this runs after the timer update. So, type of update world time system, I think. Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah, so buffer system dot create command buffer to concurrent. And then the current time is just, oh, it's private, that's why it's not showing up. Current time equals time dot elapsed time. Oh yeah, and this is double. I need to remember that. And then schedule, I think we have to pass the component system. And then its dependencies. And then the buffer system, we just have to tell it to wait for this system to finish. Then we'll return the dependencies to Unity. Okay, so I think that's all I have to do for this. I just remembered probably... I was going to... Wherever I put the different system groups, I was going to make sure that they ran... Oh yeah, here it is. I want to make sure that these run... Oh, I do have the game time manager. Do I even need this? Yeah, I do have this. Do I even need to have this? Because I could just use... Well, okay. We'll have the game time manager for like the actual things that happen in the game. Whereas these like web request stuff should be on Unity's time. Because they'll never want to be paused. Yeah, so that it makes sense the way I'm doing this, I think. Okay. Anyway. So first off, I need to put this request. So I don't think I have a setup for this. So yeah, we have the wait for stream active setup, and then I need to have the user database wait for request setup. Okay, so phase... Oh, okay, this is the wrong namespace. This should be phase setup, system group, and then I want this to be user database. Wait, requests. Oh, okay, yeah, it's creating an archetype. Yeah, I was wondering why don't I just add this to the singleton entity? So request, follower list. So yeah, we'll want to do that again. And then we'll also put out a bunch of other requests, but... Okay, so when that happens, it's going to... call this function. But I'm not sure why... Because I don't see anything here to get, like, followers for a specific user. Let's see, I think... Twitch API get followers. Alright, so get users, gets a user object based, that's fine. Does... Yeah, this doesn't like include the follower list, so that's not what I want. Get user follows, gets a list of all channels followed by... Oh, okay, that's not what I want. I want to get a list of followers for a channel. Okay, so I get channel followers. Okay. Gets a list of users who follow a specified channel sorted by the date when they started following. Okay. Doesn't need any authentication, but that's fine. Okay, so it returns a maximum of 100. So basically what I need to do, I don't think there's nothing that's, I get like the number of followers. Because I guess I'd have to get that first and then get different. Okay, it doesn't... Well, maybe the number of followers is in here. So... Yeah, so the number of followers is in the data returned from the channel information. Okay. So what I want to do... Okay, so we'll need to get a get channel by ID response, and then we'll wait for that. And then we'll send out... a request for the first 100 followers, and then once we get that back, we'll send a request for the other followers. Yeah, so we don't want to spam Twitch and get them all at once, so I think we'll just do it 100 at a time. Okay. Tells the server where to start fetching the next set of results. Isn't that the same as offset? Is offset, so I thought what I want to do here is like return 100, but I'm not sure what the difference between the cursor and the offset is. I guess we'll just have to play with it. Let's make sure that Twitch API has that, so it'd be API channels. That'd be 5, but... So, followers? Get all followers. Okay, so this... I guess they have something... They'll just get all followers for me. LED limit, offset, cursor, direction, and then... Okay, well that's nice. I don't have to worry about doing anything else. So we just get all followers, and then... we just pass it the channel ID. Then I'll like... Oh. So then handle follower list response. Okay, so it returns a list of channel follow. Let's see, what does that have? I shouldn't delete this because I have to remember to call this handle response object. Alright, so what's like the first value in here? So it has created at. Okay, I guess that's like when they follow them. Okay, and then if they want notifications, I don't really need that. So I do need the user. Okay, and so this like gives all the information about that user. Interesting. Okay, so they'd already give me the user logo string. That's kind of good to know. Response. So channel followers. Yeah, so user. Okay, so it does send all this stuff. Okay. Well, I guess that's good because I don't have to. I thought I'd have to like. It would just give a list of user IDs, and then I'd have to make a individual request for any ones I wanted more information on. So this can just like probably what I'll do is I'll just store this channel follow data structure in some other class, and then that class, when it gets this list response, will translate it into the database that the game will use. Let's see. So we'll have public class Twitch channel followers response. Do I want to just use this channel follow directly, or do I want to like filter out the data that the game actually cares about? Probably be better to have like one more level of abstraction. Although I don't know, because I'm already gonna abstract it from this into like the actual database of the game. And the game is specifically being built to work with Twitch, with this Twitch lib. So I think maybe I would just store this list and then like a timestamp. Follow list, and I guess it should be public double timestamp. Okay, and then I guess what I can do is I can just put this in the game logic database. That's kind of what it's for. So we'll get this list. I guess response. And then we'll just want to add a new reference. Because again, I'd like to just put this in a normal entity, but obviously, well, I guess not obviously if you don't really know, if you're new to Unity entities, but they can't handle this much data. Specifically, they don't allow like class objects in them, and it definitely don't allow arrays or a list. So I need to have some other class that will hold this data until another system can get its hands on it. So follow list equals elist, and then timestamp. Time.elapsed. Okay, and then we would just pass this. Oh. Okay, and then another class will see this response. Maybe I should put this in with the other components actually. So another class will see this response and then look in the game logic database for the most recent follower response class, and then it will take that and enter it into the game's user database, which I think will be good. Yeah, and from there we'll do the same thing with subscribers and viewers, but I think for now we might just stick to followers because I kind of want to do the logo downloading. But unfortunately, I think I am better in the stream here. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming by and watching. I apologize for the bad internet. Of course, it seems like it's gotten better now, but I've gotta go, so I guess it was okay for most of the stream. Just that last 30 minutes was a bit dicey, but anyway, I'll be back tomorrow and we'll probably work more on this. I have something else planned for Thursday, which should be pretty fun. Also, yeah, I was wondering about this Christmas, I decided to run like a Dungeons and Dragons group for my family, and I've really had fun with it. But I think it's kind of fun, like from a game design perspective, because a lot of it is like tweaking like enemies and like encounters and stuff. And I've always wanted to have some like day that we do something that has to do with like level design or like encounter design or something kind of more like game designy instead of just always programming. So I don't know if anybody would be interested in something like that. I might try to fit it into the streaming schedule to do like a game, like a day that we work on some like D&D world building or encounter design or something like that. Yeah, this came to me, so I mean this afternoon, so I don't know, just putting it out there. If anybody would be interested, please let me know. But yeah, so I guess that's it for now. I'll put some links in chat if you're interested in following me anywhere. I do have all different kinds of social media. Specifically, I'll put this video up on YouTube tomorrow night so that you can watch any part that happened during the bad internet if you feel like it. And besides that, oh, I have Discord, so yeah, I'd love for you to join us there to get some more chatters, but if you're on YouTube, you can get links to all that in the video description. So I think I better get going, and I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.